we still do the Thing podcast, and we've been trying to keep up on the weekly. You think it would be easier?
Well, I think I told you when you were here the last time, you were here last time we were doing that Christmas Carol thing.
Yeah, that's right.
But I think you had said you were just starting to get on.
We just got back
on the horse with the podcast.
We're calling it season 2, so yeah, it's been going all right. Have you ever watched Blade Runner?
Yeah, but the first time was like 5-6 years ago.
Yeah. Have you seen the new one?
No, because I wanted to rewatch the old one again, but I haven't fucking rewatched the old one yet.
I tried to watch Blade Runner like 3 years ago.
That's the thing.
And I don't need movies to be fucking action packed, and I don't need movies to have any one quality to hold my interest. But I'm watching this, and I got like an hour into it. I'm like,
fuck
this movie. This movie is fucking. There's nothing happening in this movie. It's like the movie Boyhood.
Yeah, same kind of thing.
There's nothing fucking happening in this movie.
4 hours long.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's two different animals.
No, shut the fuck up.
It's
all
two
right?
different animals.
Shut the fuck up.
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner, I feel
Ridley
like
Scott.
would have been different for you if you would have had some sort of nostalgia factor to
true.
it.
Probably.
You watch it younger, that's the thing. Boyhood is just, for me, is just a nostalgic movie, period, just because you're literally watching a kid grow up year after year after year, and I think that's cool.
That was a trip. I watched it in the theater, too, and it was like, fuck.
Oh, my God. Did they have intermissions?
4 hours. Yeah, I don't remember. It was at the State. I want to say they just played it all. There might have been an intermission. That must have been, because I know that was the longest movie I've ever seen.
It's so long.
The movie could have been a lot better if they had made the fucking characters interesting.
Yeah.
They weren't interesting?
No.
I feel like they were.
No.
You
know why? Because they felt like people that I work with.
Yeah.
And those fucks are not interesting.
But it's also real life. The people
Actual
So
real life.
what?
Yeah.
And?
No.
So the new Blade Runner. So I watched the old Blade Runner, and I had nostalgia.
Yeah.
Rucker Hauer's fucking amazing in it. And
R.I.P.
Yeah, he died this year.
About a year ago. Something like that. Yeah.
Fucking, the new one is almost 3 hours long. It's got Ryan Gosling in it. I started watching it last night. I'm like, how fucking long is this movie?
Oh, is it really long?
It's 2 hours and 45 minutes long.
Oh, man.
And it's the same kind of like, don't get me wrong, I like it, but you got to be ready for a fucking 3 hour movie, like any 3 hour movie.
Yeah.
Well, it's like if you watch The Irishman.
That was the exact next analogy I was going to make. It's like, you got to be fucking ready for it.
We started watching it. We got 2.5 hours in. We're like,
how fucking long is this?
And that was even a fun movie, but at some point it just became, all right, I'm done.
There was so much that didn't need to be in it.
Right.
Yeah, that's the way I feel about the new Blade Runner. It's like a lot of it is just like Ryan Gosling staring. Like just steely-eyed. Like,
that's what he does best.
He's good at it. Don't get me wrong, he's a handsome dude. But it was like, how much of this can we take? Yeah, I don't know.
What are you listening to right now? By the way, Matthew Zerilli, how are you?
Oh, hey, are we live? Are we on?
We're on. Well, yeah.
Dude, let's do it. I love it. Why not? Let's come in hot.
No. Cold open.
I can't stop, RTJ, which we'll talk about in a minute. But, dude, my discovery of the year is Ryan Walsh from Studio Anatomy that does art. And he does all of our posters for Kamikaze. He introduced me to the British punk band Idols. Have you heard them yet?
No.
Oh, Smitty, I'm excited to tell you about Idols.
Like, you kicked off YouTube for listening to a little bit of it?
Kicked off YouTube?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Will we get kicked off YouTube for listening to it?
I don't know. That's a good question. I think Run the Jewels actually released all their music for free, so I don't know if they'll kick you off for playing that.
Yeah.
But Idols is rad, dude. They're from Bristol. It's the weirdest thing. It's like...
Oh, that's the Zach De La Rocha thing.
No, that's
Run the Jewels.
Run the Jewels.
Oh, my bad.
But Idols is a similar thing. They have a similar kind of voice. It's about like social justice and stuff, but it's like oi punk. Like it's like old oi punk.
Oi.
It's like the Ramones. It's I fucking like that. And then it's great.
The Clash.
Yeah, dude. It's very much. It's like the Clash and Rage Against the Machine had a baby.
Yeah.
It's great. I think you'll really dig it. They have a live album called Live at Bataclan, which is their last album. But their last album is called Joy as an Act of Resistance, I think, and it's the best.
Say the band
album.
Again. Not Run the Jewels.
Idols. IDLES.
IDLES.
Like, it's the best.
I'm looking for the good fuck you punk right now, man.
Dude, I'm telling you, I'm so excited that I get to introduce you to this band. I think you're going to fucking love it.
Really?
They blew my fucking brain apart. Like, they've got, their live shows are great. They were, the first thing I saw them do was Tiny Desk on NPR, which is weird. they're like a thrash punk fucking outfit, but their message is rad.
You know what band that I've fallen in love with, and that's because of him. And they've been around for a while, but he listens to them a lot, and that's Against Me. You ever listen to Against Me?
I haven't, but
dude,
I'm in. I'll take
really
it.
great social consciousness, fucking good punk rock songs.
That's what we need, I think, more of. It's interesting because I don't remember who was talking about it, about how somebody did a review of Idols, and they said that it's weird because in the 80s, punk music was like rage and hateful and like kind of all about taking down the system. And now it's like the other way around. Like the system is hateful, and all the punk music has this positive message.
Yeah,
it's like, you know what I mean. Well, not all of it, but
but back then, that fucking Reagan punk rock message was still positive.
Yeah, it's true. It is true. But like this is more like it's not. It is interesting. Idol's an interesting band because they take down like kind of like macho culture, and like they always say that we want people to come. They play that type of music because it's almost like, it's not satire, but it's almost like satire. Like it's like The Onion. Like they draw people in because it looks like the news, but it's actually meant to break people's fucking brains.
I mean, like punk music it's the same with any like hardcore brand of music. It started out as all attitude all the time,
low
and
technique,
then
high attitude.
At some point, it has to be, especially with punk, because they have a message that they're trying to further.
Yeah.
And at some point, the music has to become more refined.
Yeah.
And better in order for the message to be received by more people.
Yeah, dude, it's wild. It reminds me a lot of. It's kind of like the Strokes a little bit. There's all kinds of like. I just think you'll dig it. It's really fucking wild. It's super high energy. It is tight. They're a really tight outfit, but it's also fucking chaotic. Mm-hmm. Like you can tell they're not like, it's not Eddie Van Halen guitar playing. Right. It's just chaotic drums, but it's just all energy.
We need Rage Against the Machine right now. I know that.
If there were two artists or bands that we need right now, Rage Against the Machine, that we're sorely missing, and George Carlin.
Oh my God!
Who the fuck, by the way?
George Carlin.
Who likes Rage Against the Machine that doesn't appreciate and really stand behind? Like, that's not a band you could just listen to for like fucking background noise, or you kind of like it,
right?
You gotta fucking be on board.
If the message isn't getting through, then you're doing something wrong.
Well, there was an article a few years ago. Paul Ryan, who was, righty Paul Ryan, mayonnaise, his blood type is mayonnaise. He fucking, he came out and said that he loved listening to Rage
Against... Blood type is sludgy.
He came out and said, I love listening to Rage Against the Machine when I work out. And Tom Morello was like, fuck you. It's not for you, motherfucker.
Stop
this is not for you.
Stop listening.
Don't play our music. We don't want, this music is about you.
That's a huge problem that I have with people that don't want politics and music. They don't like it when their artist is talking politics. I'm like, dude, rock and roll.
That's what it's for.
That's what it's for.
It started as slave music, dude. That's what it's for.
Yeah.
Like, that's the point.
All the way through.
Yeah.
All the way through it has been political.
It was, who's the two guys, they're an outfit, they're from England, Fade to Black.
Metallica?
What is it? They're just a drummer and he plays bass. Why can't I think of their name? Josh Paul's going to kill me for this because we went to see him live.
Royal Blood.
Royal Blood.
Yeah.
They actually came out, and that was in their message of solidarity with the Black Lives Matter movement, is basically we can't sit here and play rock and roll and not acknowledge the fact that this is where, like, you can't have that. You can't have both.
Yeah.
Like, this came from, we know where this came from, right?
Yeah. I really want to wait.
Zeppelin and all those guys, I
really want to wait until we get Ben on to talk about the Black Lives Matter thing. Says, what better than four white guys?
Oh, dude, this is what the world needs, is four white guys.
Well, here's how
Listen up, everybody. We're going to fix this shit.
Here's why we are experts on the subject. Because I'm an expert on white people.
No, it's true.
I fucking know white people, dude.
It's true, dude. Like, we'll get into it. But I do want to say, we kind of glossed over it. Speaking of bands that we need right now, the closest thing to Rage Against the Machine, in my opinion, from like a message standpoint, is Run the Jewels. They're great. Actually, Zach De La Rocha, I think, is on He might be on 2 songs on this new album, Run the Jewels 4. But it's very much that message of, dude, it's a trip because they're great. Killer Mike, I don't know if you saw, Killer Mike is actually from
DJ.
Atlanta. He's the Killer Mike is one of the MCs, and LP is the other one who's a white guy. So it's black guy and a white guy. And Killer Mike actually was down in Atlanta, and he gave when they started violently protesting in Atlanta, he was one of the voices that came out and gave it was awesome. He went down there with T.I., I guess, who's also from Atlanta, who's a rapper, and he the mayor of Atlanta had him talk to Atlanta and say, you got to fucking settle down. Like, this isn't destroying your home. The message was destroying your own home isn't any way to mobilize don't burn down your own city, basically.
That goes back to the punk music. Everything starts with attitude. And at some point, in order for your message to be furthered and to be listened by, be heard by a wider audience, you have to refine your attitude.
It's just too easy to dismiss if it isn't. Right. If it's just too easy to dismiss, and that was why Rage Against the Machine was always fucking brilliant, because Tom Morello is one of the most amazing guitar players that ever lived, and Zach De La Rocha is tight. It's a tight fucking band.
The one word that ever comes to my mind when I'm thinking about Rage Against the Machine is just ferocious.
Oh my god,
they're the most ferocious fucking band you couldn't find a more ferocious band than Rage Against the Machine.
It was
the one you listen to in the studio or live. I've never seen them live, but I've seen Prophets of Rage, and that's a close fucking second, maybe.
And it's never worn off. It still is real, and it's visceral,
relevant, and relevant.
I had tickets to see them down in Detroit this year with Run the Jewels. I had the
really?
So what they ended up doing, they were getting back together with Zach Diller, the original outfit is back together, and they announced a bunch of shows, a tour, a run of shows, and you had to put in for it was fucking insane. When the tickets went on sale, you had to log in, and they were selling them so we got. They sold out so fast. My buddy Matt Lewis and I don't know if you ever met Matt Lewis. Shout out to our producer for our podcast, The Thing, Matt Lewis.
You got a producer?
He makes it sound good. You should listen to the before Matt Lewis came along and after. It's a whole different thing. It sounds like fucking
Note to self.
Cans.
Hey, man, I'm fucking learning. I have this brand new, I call it the USS Smith hole. The board.
It looks super professional in here, I gotta say.
The board, I just got it, and it's a fucking rocket ship, and I don't know how it works. I had to use the old one and make shit work because
I honestly, I wish you had consulted me because I would have said that might be too much for you.
No, it's not too much for me.
Let's
can learn
just
things.
downsize just a little bit.
Mom and Dad are fighting.
Think about it.
No. It's just.
So they sold the tickets. So we logged in and we were ready in line. They sold out Little Caesars Arena. They added a second show. Yeah. They sold out in fucking half hour, and they added a date to. They sold out Little Caesars Arena twice in an hour, which is a 25,000 seats.
There was a lot of bots on that, though.
There was a lot of bots. That was actually one of the people. Fucking suck, dude.
That was one of the ones I was looking for. There was 6 or 7 shows this summer that I was going to go to or wanted to, and I was going to pick 2. And none of them are happening.
That's like a life.
Wah, wah.
I was prepared. I didn't know how much the tickets were going to be, but I was prepared to spend a lot of money on that show. Yeah. To see what the original Zach De La Rocha.
Really wanted to see Guns N' Roses. I really wanted to see Rage. I've never seen Faith No More. I wanted to see Faith No More, and there was probably there's 3 or 4 more that I wanted to go to.
Rage was the one that gave me an inkling that I might want to go to. Yeah. Because as much as I like all of those bands, I am very selective about things that I'm going to put effort into doing.
It's good. So, it's a good place to be. Yeah. But basically what they did is they took all their shows and they just pushed them into next year because they don't know when they're going to be able to have them again. So we have a date, but it's 2021. It's whatever the show is.
I need them now, man.
But I gotta say, Run the Jewels is their sole companion of all right,
now
rap.
You talked me into it. Let me just see if I can do this.
There's a song called let me see what the one is called if you're gonna do it.
Run the Jewels?
Run the Jewels, man. And Josh Homme's on this album. He makes
it's right there. It's right there.
It's right there. There's a song called the album's just RTJ4. They just number their albums.
Yankee and the Brave. How about that one?
Yankee and the Brave's a good one. Zach De La Rocha is in a song called Just, J-U-S-T.
Is he rapping or is he singing?
Rage? Or,
no, Zach De La Rocha.
He's rapping. Play Just for the first like.
Just.
Yeah, it's called Just.
All right. Just for a little bit.
Mastered economics, cause you took yourself.
You'll hear it when it kicks in.
Mastered academics, cause your grade said you a scholar. Mastered Instagram, cause you can instigate a follow. Shit. Look at all these slave masters posing on your dollar. Get it? Look at all these slave masters posing on your dollar. Get it?
That's killing
Look at all these slave masters posing on your dollar.
So strictly hip hop then.
Look at all these slave masters posing on your dollar. Get it? Look at all these slave masters.
There he is.
I'm on mine. I be minding mine. Every time on my grind.
I've been starting to get into hip hop a lot more too, man, lately.
Me too.
My hip hop, I like this shit though.
It's good, man.
Yeah.
And the lyrics it'll blow your mind. Yeah, they recorded this album over the course of the last year, and they released it early because of the George Floyd situation.
Yeah.
They were going to release it, I think, on the 10th or something, but they released it a week early. That's how crazy all this shit is right now. Because there's a song in there where he talks. One of the lyrics in the song is, the cops are out there making people say I can't breathe, which is fucked up. And they released it. They recorded it before the George Floyd thing,
And
which
so
means
what-
it happens more than once. They were talking about the guy in New York. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
Mike, I can't remember his name, of course, offhand, but the one that was selling cigarettes out in front of the store that they choked to death, basically. So it's like the most. That's what I mean when I say it's like it's a soul brother to the Rage stuff because it's right on the same
Yeah.
current and these guys can get a lot of. They give their albums away too. They can get a lot of some of the shit they say. I'm like, how can they get away with this? But
As far as
just it's. There was a.
it can't be any worse. Well, and when I say worse, I don't mean worse. I listened to the fuck out of "Fuck the Police."
That's
when
what I
was
mean.
A kid. It can't be worse than that.
That's the energy.
It can't
they're
be worse than
bringing.
Metallica's "So What."
Yeah.
Granted, that doesn't get played on the air, but it doesn't get nearly the amount of outrage.
Yeah, that's the stuff though. That's the energy, and it's about social justice and stuff that is so relevant. Unfortunately, it's every fucking album. It's been the same thing, And like Rage, we're still dealing with a lot of the same shit. Mm-hmm. So here we are.
In the
First
60s.
time I heard Rage was in 1996.
What the fuck were we watching yesterday? What were we
where,
watching?
what?
We were watching the documentary.
the Johnny Cash.
Johnny Cash, Tricky
yeah.
Dick, and Johnny Cash, the documentary on Netflix, and
Yeah.
I mean, it is like watching a black and white fucking mirror.
We don't learn, man.
No.
we don't learn. This shit is crazy.
Well, some people do, just not enough.
Not enough quickly enough.
Right.
Not enough quickly enough.
That's it.
That's the thing.
But Rage is great.
As far as I'm concerned, we are still in the evolutionary process, and we still suck.
Yeah.
At some point, we might not,
Well,
but
that's
right now we do.
That's what people don't get. Like, people act like, democracy is, not to get too heavy, but people act like democracy is a foregone conclusion. This shit's only 300 years old. Like, it's not, we're just in the infancy
It's
of
a
this
good
country.
fucking.
It will go away,
It's
dude.
a good template for an idea,
Yeah.
but clearly you fucking fucked it up at least a few times. You
keep
didn't
fucking
include
it up.
some things you needed to, so they amended it however many times. Let's change this because it could be better.
It's crazy, dude.
Joe Rogan does that bit about, I wrote that shit with a feather.
To paraphrase Jerry Seinfeld, it's like knocking over a vending machine. It doesn't go over in one push. You got to rock that shit.
That's the thing.
Dave Chappelle said when they were writing the Declaration of Independence, I hold these truths to be self-evident. Now go make me a sandwich, N-bomb.
Let me see if, since we're getting on this, let me see if Ben Macks is ready to go.
Oh, Ben Macks.
We're going to get Ben on via the video platform.
By the way, Ben Macks makes a great meteorologist. I don't know if you've been watching the Broken News segments.
Well, since we're into weather, I'm going to go get some water. It's hot.
Ben has been he's been our weatherman on,
I want to play a clip of that too. When
oh yeah, dude, he's been hilarious. He's a great.
Is it on YouTube?
It is on YouTube. It's on the Kamikaze comedy page, I believe.
We're gonna watch a clip of that before we call Ben.
Heck yeah.
What's a good?
If you watch the most, if you watch
follow
the,
Kamikaze on here.
I think so. I don't even
I feel
know.
like I have.
I'm terrible at figuring out how to use all this shit. We're on there though. Yep. There's a. I would watch the one. Watch the one from. I think it's 6. Yeah. Josh Paul did. Josh Paul did a commercial on our last one.
Is it the whole? Do you want to watch the whole thing?
Sure.
Okay.
It's like 6 minutes long.
All right. Let's watch the whole thing. Levi's out of the room.
the guy, my newscaster. I'm the anchor on this, and my whole energy is just trying to keep my shit together every week.
Yeah, no, I've seen a few clips, and it's hilarious, man. Like,
Josh
you guys
Paul
do
does
such
all
a
our
good job
editing,
with it.
By
This
the way,
is the broken news from Kamikaze Comedy.
shout out to AK Productions, by the way. They do a great job.
Josh Paul stuff,
He
yeah,
does
really
all-
good.
He does all the editing. Attacker King. High quality dick joke.
Dude, it's better than this.
What the hell's going on here?
We're watching Kamikaze Comedy's
Broken News.
Broken News.
Nice.
You're the therapist. You tell me. Yeah, I gotta go. All right. Same time next week.
You have a legit videographer almost.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Broken News for the week of May 25th, 2020. I'm Matthew Zerilli, and we bring you all the news that's broken. Our lead-off story tonight, a coronavirus update. Michigan governor and video game final boss Karen, Whitmer, decided this week in advance of the Memorial Day holiday to open up service businesses in the northern part of Michigan, our backyard. But of course, just because she opened up the floodgates doesn't mean that people from infected areas will be coming up to celebrate. Let's check in on our I-75 cam and see how that's going.
Ben Macks in 5.
Nice.
Well, that's good. Nice to see people showing restraint and caution. We're joined now by a local waitress by the name of Kat, who's going to share her feelings on opening up and being in close proximity with people that may have coronavirus. What are your thoughts, Kat? Good for you. That's the spirit. Good luck. Let's take a look around town at some
That's
of the
my
street
favorite
games
one.
and see how tourist season is going here in northern Michigan.
Front Street.
Look, if there was a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man at State
That's
Street,
great.
I'd be happy.
God bless America. With many people working at home still with the coronavirus lockdown in effect, Zoom has become a part of everyone's life. Here, to tell us a little bit more about Zoom etiquette is our field correspondent, Megan Coddington-Heath. Take it away, Megan.
So Megan's from Lansing, if you don't know. She's great.
Here today. Just want to give you guys ideas on how to do your best in a Zoom conference. First of all, the most important thing is obviously to dress for success. Something to also remember is that you want to make sure you get a great Zoom angle. The next thing you should do is always make sure you have your favorite mug to contain your favorite beverage. I mean, it could be a coffee, or it could be vodka. Whatever works best for you. No one will know. And then the last thing to remember is that you should always try to do your Zoom conferences with the least amount of distractions possible. What are you doing? What are we?
You farted at me.
What are you doing? What did you eat? I'm on a call. You what? Oh, I did. Oh, you did it again? Mommy's on the call, buddy. You just go to your room. Come on, thanks. Bye. You guys turn off my camera? Is the camera off?
Thanks, Megan. Tips I think we can all use. We'll be right back at the Broken News after this commercial break.
Hi, folks. This is Big Cal with Big Cal's Caskets and Coffins. And we are almost sold out of caskets and coffins. So if you have any underlying health conditions such as asthma, kidney disease, liver disease, the gout, have you eaten Chinese food in the last 24 hours? Have you looked at an Asian person? Do you sometimes crave peanut butter and jelly sandwiches? Do you have bad credit? Has your neighbor ever seen you naked? Have you ever had sex once in your entire life? Have you ever returned a wave that wasn't for you? Or any of the underlying diseases listed here?
Bird
If
watching.
so,
Game
you
of
are in
Thrones.
serious danger of the Chinaman virus. And you need to come down to Big Cal's Caskets
So racist.
place in the dirt. Here at Big Cal's, we only use the best materials for constructing our caskets and coffins. Whether it's wood or metal, you can rest assured knowing your lifeless body is enclosed in the finest material and the
That's all-
Man.
That's
Now
great,
remember,
right?
folks, if you're a coffin, we got a coffin. So come on down to Big Cal's.
You're a coffin, we got a coffin.
Right next to Olsen's Ovens and Urns.
Oh my God,
Olson's Ovens and Urns.
dude, that is fantastic.
The next one has
Welcome
been
back, everyone. Well, with the summer picking up steam, weather's on everybody's mind.
So the key every week is I try to get a weather report out of Ben, who's our meteorologist. So this next little thing is like a 30-second thing.
Oh, I killed it.
Oh,
Sorry.
did you? Oh, it's
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
It's
No,
great.
I killed it.
Yeah.
Ben's gonna come on in a second.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
We got a live Ben Macks.
No, we're gonna come on in like 2 or 3 minutes.
Oh, I love it.
Real quick, I want to talk to you about.
Yes.
How are you dealing with? Where do you work regularly? Is that addiction treatment specialist?
Addiction Treatment Services. Yeah, I've been working over there for like 3 or 4 years. I started working over there as part of their PATH program, which is a jail re-immersion program for people that are in jail for basically just addiction-related crimes, like possession, some breaking and enterings and stuff that are related to addiction. And then I started working over in the community outreach portion, which is called The Porch, which is a program where it's basically it's closed right now, but it's a community center that's basically geared toward plugging people in with supports in their recovery. So that's been pretty good, and it's been it's a great place to work, and it's for a really important cause. I think I'm a recovering alcoholic myself. I just 15 years. I just crossed over.
Congratulations, man.
Thanks. Yeah, it's fucking crazy actually. I never would like.
Well, how long has
crazy.
Dad been sober? It's
87.
87.
That's
so
impressive.
yeah,
33
yeah.
years.
So I respect the hell out of that, man.
Wow.
Respect it.
That's awesome, and it's it's a cool thing, and it's I don't really preach it much to people because it's it really comes down to what is working for you. But we try to offer people as much resources and to the level that they need it, and we have people all ages and all stages of recovery that come over there. So yeah, it's been good. So it's interesting, man. It is a weird period of time because I guess we take for granted. I've been working with people that are in a vulnerable population for a long time, and we kind of take for granted that people are just kind of generally empathetic.
Yeah.
But it's not the case.
That's
man.
not the case.
It's a fucking weird time.
You would think
Yeah,
that
empathy's at a premium in our society right now. It's crazy, and we have our own legislative issues within our community where you see laws that are discriminatory against people that suffer with addiction, and I can't even imagine what it would be like to be black in this country or to be dealing with some of the injustices that have been going on, just in a small way, just being somebody who has a problem with addiction, alcoholism in my case. It's like the deck is stacked a little bit, but even in saying that, I can't imagine. But we do, it's a challenging time, man. It's so hard just to get people to listen, and then to get action is that's well, I'm sure when we talk to Ben a little bit, we'll get
Did
into.
you go to the protest this weekend?
I was out of town. I went to the first one,
Yeah.
And then I had heard that it wasn't going to happen.
That's what I heard. I was planning on going, and then I kind of planned things to do.
Yeah, I planned a trip up north because I heard it wasn't going to happen, and then it did, and Traverse City showed up big, which is awesome, and it was peaceful, and
it looked.
I got to say, man, I'm from my capacity working in addiction treatment services. Our Traverse City Police, Chief O'Brien he's awesome. I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
He actually does a lot of really good work with educating the Traverse City Police. I know there's, there are some incidents that happen, and they're by no means perfect, but I know I can vouch for the fact that he's a compassionate, he's a real force of change. He's changed the whole community around here in the last, 5 or 6 years or whatever. When I first met him, he was advocating for Dan's House, which is that, wet house for addiction. He's really active in a lot of social causes and does a lot to educate his officers. But, just from my perspective, where I work, we get a lot of, you get drunk people all the time. People that are drunk, high, that, we're unable to deal with them. We have to use the police. And it used to be, you'd call the police and it wasn't a great situation. They'd end up dragging them out or, But he has educated the police force in town. So I just want to give a shout out because I know that everybody's saying fuck all police and all that kind of stuff right now, but it's important that we know that
there are, but I feel like deep down, most people are. There's the people that say there are good cops. Fuck, of course there are, and I was talking about it. I did a post show video from the show the other day where Tim Logan and I were talking about it, and it's just like. For the sake of argument, you have 100 police and 2 of them are fucking assholes. It only takes. It only takes 1 or 2.
It only takes 1 or 2. But I say that to say that Chief O'Brien actually went to the protest and spoke.
Yeah.
And talked about he owned the fact that there is progress to be made. He made the point at the protest. I read it in the paper that he used to think that Traverse City didn't have any problems with racial discrimination or any of that stuff, but he knows that there's room to improve. So I think it's just important that we kind of put that message out there too. It could be a lot worse, and that again, 3 white guys sitting around talking about
Yeah. Well, let's make it 4.
Hey, let's get another white guy.
I gotta get Ben on. Headphones, so.
Okay, cool.
Ben Macks, how are you?
Good. What's going on, fellas?
Not much. We were just watching a little bit of the broken news, trying to get educated on what's going on in the world.
Yeah, that's a good place to stop.
I stopped it right before your weather forecast. I didn't realize your weather forecast was coming up. I just fucking turned it off.
It was right before your informative segment on the weather pattern moving up from the Gulf of Mexico.
Oh, yeah, that was a very insightful report, I think.
Oh, man.
So how you been, man?
Good. Yeah. Looking forward to doing some comedy again, maybe someday.
Boy, right?
You guys been talking about that at all?
Well, I don't know when it's going to happen. I know that we were talking with Rick from Union Street the other day, Union Street in Traverse City, which has been an awesome place to do comedy over the last couple of years, and they're just he's not ready to open up entertainment yet, just because there's no. I think some of the rules are still kind of. It just doesn't really work. Like all the staff has to have masks on. They can only be half capacity. Like. They're still trying to get some streamline and work out the kinks. And as far as Studio Anatomy goes, the last I heard, Brian's he hasn't been able to pin down when they're going to do it. Like, because they're only, I shouldn't say only, but they're like a 50, 60 seater, which is an awesome venue and super fun. But if you automatically have to be half capacity, then I just don't know how that works.
What a weird thing. I mean, it's got to be better than doing Zoom shows, though. I mean,
Zoom shows are
I've seen a few.
Worst.
They got to be the worst, right?
It's the fucking worst. We were doing it every week for we were doing the open mic, trying to do the open mic over Zoom. Part of the problem is that stuff lives online too, and then you can't work out jokes and have it live. Like, there's just no good way to do it. It's working out jokes is meant to do and be forgotten and not left on video,
Yeah.
And there's no crowd response or anything, and it's just not the same.
Just a bunch of dickheads online.
We did one. We did one for the. It still wasn't the worst experience we've had. I still, silent disco comedy is still the worst thing you can ever do. I don't know if we talked about that on my show.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh God.
That's important. That's important to clarify that.
Yeah. Silent disco comedy. If you ever have the opportunity to do it, don't do it. If you've been waiting on a root canal, do it then. Yeah, reschedule. Yeah. But we did one for a fundraising group locally, a political fundraising group, and it was okay. But the problem is whoever hosts the event will leave I didn't even fucking hear a Zoom before the quarantine.
Not once.
I think it's sponsored by coronavirus. Zoom is. I hadn't even heard of it, and somebody did a set. I think it was Josh Paul did a set, and then the next comic went up, and you could hear a lady in the background with her microphone. I said, "Oh, the last," and she was talking over the next comic. "Oh, that last comic said something about Chinese food," and it was just so it's not.
Oh my
great.
God, that's horrifying.
Yeah, Zoom comedy can it's bad.
I wanted to get you guys on because I thought it'd be interesting to talk to you guys about the current state of affairs. I like getting picking both of your brains. Yeah.
What
Yeah.
exactly?
Yeah. And Ben, I told these guys before you joined us, I said, while 4 white guys might not be experts on the current state of affairs, we are experts on white people.
Well, we knew 3 white guys wasn't enough, so we figured we'd get a 4th one.
Yeah.
Or this is essentially the problem right here.
I'll tell you, look, I'm all right being part of the problem as long as it's not that problem. I'm all right being part of a problem.
No, it's crazy, man. It's I don't know. One of my theories is that this has been obviously a problem for a long time, but I feel like the fact that everybody's in lockdown right now because of the coronavirus and there's all this kind of empty space, the whole world is just kind of turned into starting to look at some of these major problems. It's really forcing some of these pressure cracks to finally break. And I never would expect it in my life to be sitting on my couch and watching somebody get murdered on video. And twice in the last 2 months, I've literally watched somebody get killed. That kid in Georgia, that Ahmaud Arbery, that got hunted down and shot. And then this guy in Minneapolis. I guess my take is it's absolutely a race issue, absolutely, but it's also a civil rights fucking issue. Where are all these guys that were talking about haircuts?
Well,
You know,
yeah, no.
Where are all these "don't tread on me" motherfuckers now? Like, those are the guys that should be. Everybody should be alarmed by the fact, regardless. Of course, it's disproportionately focused on people of color, but regardless of that, this is a fucking human rights issue.
Yeah, and that's one aspect that I always try to argue when I hear somebody say something remotely racist. I'm say, look, man, it's not necessarily a black and white issue. If you're focusing on civil rights for black people, you're also focusing on civil rights for everybody.
For everybody, yeah. Dude, Michael Shea, the comedian from Saturday Night Live's got a great bit. He's a writer for Saturday Night Live and does the Weekend Update. He's talking about how gays came out and they said they wanted equal rights. He said, man, we just want civil rights. Can you just equal? That's ridiculous. Can you just be nice? You know? But it is, and there's, I guess the one thing I've learned is, a lot of times, I think for all of us, is now a time to just kind of shut the fuck up, right? And listen to some of the voices.
Well, listen, but when I say that we are experts on white people,
yeah.
We have a perspective that white people will fucking be racist to other white people just thinking that you're part of the gang. That
How many times Ben and I have done this before? Remember that? I don't remember what that show was. That dude came up and he wanted to tell us a joke, and he's like, "I got a joke for you guys." Was that me and you that were standing there? It was in front of the State Theater, and he came up. He said, "I want to tell you guys a joke," and we're like, "Oh boy, here we go." And before he told it, he looked both ways to make sure nobody was listening.
Yeah,
and he dropped 3 N-bombs, and motherfucker, what do I look like? Do I look like somebody that wants to hear that? I don't know. It's intense, man. Like, the casualness. Man, we could probably all tell a million stories.
All right, so let's go across the thing. Ben, how many out of your whole life, and I feel like all 4 of us are basically raised in rural areas. Rural northern Michigan areas. It's not like we're fucking seeking out racist friends or racist people to talk to. Like, I feel like every single one of us has had several people, more than several, and every day just interactions with people. Somebody will just bring up something because people just like to have their fucking opinions heard when they're not asked, where that's clearly racist shit.
Oh, yeah.
I've had friends where I'm trying to think of what's a good example? Ben, what's a good example of somebody saying racist shit that they will swear is not racist?
Oh, God, I don't know. We're so inundated by it. I mean, we really are. Like, and I do want to say, can I tack something on?
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that, like, growing up not to get off topic, but growing up, like, in Charlevoix, like, I couldn't have been nestled more in, all of us up in the north here, we couldn't have been nestled in more of a white privilege blanket. So that I wanted to agree with Matt that I've been trying to just shut up, like, not shut up, but like we don't have input that could be valuable, but like we as a people, the white guy always thinks that they have the fucking take. Like, I got it figured out immediately. So everybody like right now would be a time to just shut the fuck up and we don't know. It's been real reflective time for me to go back and think about, not to get off on a tangent, but think about our education system and how we grew up and what I learned. Like, when I was in first grade, I thought the Pilgrims came over and brought food. They had like a potluck.
Right. Oh, you mean they just didn't eat
we got potato salad.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. And they all sat like this? That's amazing. No one sat like this before that.
Yeah.
Wow. Like, it's
great.
It's so ingrained, you can't, to the people that deny it, guys we know that would, or people we know that would deny it up here, that white privilege exists or racism exists. It's the whole, you can't see the forest through the trees thing. Like, you're so fucking in it. You just, you're in it. Like, you can't.
Yeah, fish don't know what
It's
water
like,
is.
You look at those dudes and some ladies that went into the Michigan Capitol a month ago, fucking
For haircuts.
armed to the teeth, and it's like I remember thinking when that happened, I'm like, I don't think that'd go as well for black people.
Absolutely,
I don't think that'd go as well.
I think the easiest example now of casual racism is the All Lives Matter thing. When people say Black Lives Matter, oh well, all lives matter. Well, yeah, man, but that's not the ones that are. It's like the best meme I've seen is there's two houses side by side, and there's one guy spraying water on the house that isn't on fire because all houses matter.
My house is
and I don't necessarily categorize that as being casually racist,
right?
But I do categorize that as being totally oblivious to what's going on.
That is,
because anybody who can read context knows that Black Lives Matter means Black Lives Matter, comma, too.
Right.
Not only.
That's a great point that you make. I guess casual wasn't what I mean. I think there's a lot of unconscious.
It's racist by default.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's the definition. That is the definition of systemic or institutionalized racism.
That's really the important point too. Is that now that's when change really happens. Is people are kind of getting. We have to get obviously the policemen that did the human being that did this act is terrible, but it's the system now that has to change. Like you have to take on the system as a corrupt system in order to make any change.
It's fucking happening too, man.
It's
happening everywhere right now.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's happening in such real time thanks to social media and I've never fucking seen anything like this in my whole life.
Did you see in Bristol,
It's just
England?
count your days, dude, in the White House. Count your days.
Bristol, England, there were a bunch of protesters. There was a statue of a
they
slave
took
owner.
that guy down.
They fucking threw it in the river.
in the harbor.
That's like we're done. Like that's Rage Against the Machine shit.
Yeah.
That was great. I gotta say that there was
Say what, Ben?
I was going to say people are sick of it. The one difference I've seen it being, like I said, being like nestled in it essentially. The difference now, and I talked to Matt about it, was that like there were protests in Charlevoix, there were protests in East Jordan, like that's never happened before.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Ever.
You know, these little,
dude, I went on a road trip.
It's powerful stuff.
I went on a road trip to the UP last. Sorry, Ben, go ahead. I'm gonna shut the fuck up for a minute. Go ahead.
I was just saying, people are. I think for whatever reason, this moment in time has really grabbed people, and it made them like it woke. I think it woke a lot of people up.
The trick now is going to be, we got to stay focused on it, and really make some institutional change. I will say, as four white guys, speaking of another white guy that I thought had a really good message was Neil Brennan, the guy who co-wrote the Chappelle Show. I don't know if you've seen that one yet, but it's on his Instagram. He's actually done some really good stuff. And one of the posts was basically, the title of the post was "I am racist," and he talked about how he's aware that just because of how he grew up and the privileges he's experienced, that there are still pockets, and I can say the same thing. I know that there's still prejudiced parts of me and parts of me that look at other people differently that I have to examine, and that's the important part, is that we actually take time to think about that.
But the key is everybody, every single person that is over the age of 6 has stereotypes.
There's a reason
in their head,
a genetic reason for them.
But the key is to make sure that you do not hold other people to the stereotypes that you initially have.
Yeah.
Because when I have black coworkers, I'm surprised that they listen to my brother on the radio. and then
me too, because
but I don't say that, but I have that initial thought, and then I say, "What the fuck? You're a fucking asshole."
Yeah.
And it's just it's the most fleeting of thoughts that I have.
That's it.
But
acknowledging it is important, right? Because it's not going to change unless you say, "I know that I do this, but I also am trying to be better."
And like we come from a family that, like, our mom has been a civil rights activist since the 60s. Awesome. And our dad has always preached equality, kind of in his own way. And like every year in school coming up, when we dealt with civil rights in school, I would come home and I would talk to my mom about what I've learned and blah 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 blah, and we'd talk about Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, and she'd and she'd say, and she'd say, well, what about this and what about this and what about this and what about this, and she would impress upon me the importance of finding stuff out. I know, and that's, I think that's one area where at least I lucked out. I don't know if you had this similar interactions.
Not necessarily with mom, and like I was lucky enough where I feel like, from an early age, it was impressed upon me to do your own reading, follow up on subjects.
Critical
George
thinking,
Carlin
right.
was like critical thinking, man. Make your own decisions.
And
when you really look at it, when you look at the history of things and you make your own decisions, it's hard to come up with more than really one conclusion. It's hard to come up with more than one conclusion. Like I look at when the fuck civil rights ended 51 years ago.
Yeah.
In theory, it ended.
Right. That's when they signed the Civil
sticking
Rights Act.
dogs on
68.
people, fire hoses, or whatever.
Lynchings.
That shit. What did Joe Rogan say in his last bit? The people that wrote the Constitution was 200 years ago. That's two people ago.
2 people ago. Yeah. It's insane. And we were saying before we got on air, we might have been saying earlier, is that people think that democracy is, I mean, that, we can't help but shift the view to the fucking knucklehead in the White House. But it's,
I tell you what, man, it's so hard.
He's got a gate up around.
You know
He's
what's
in like
really
a little
hard?
kingdom.
You know what's really hard is doing a morning show.
Yeah.
I got to keep my politics off the morning show. It's even
really
almost
hard.
sketchy doing it on the podcast. I got to keep it.
Yeah.
But I like this shit. I'm not gonna shut the fuck up about. I'm just not.
It's objectively, it's just not. It's unhinged.
It's not politics.
Somebody put a photo up of him. I remember who it was when he was holding the Bible up and like scowling. I think it was Bill Burr. He's like, you look at that and you're like, that's just take all the politics out of it. That's weird. Like he's just a guy scowling with a Bible, like in front, like
I didn't.
That's the bad guy.
He looks like the bad guy. He looks like the bad guy.
Yeah, if Jabba the Hutt was president,
yeah, dude,
he would be Donald Trump.
I don't know if I can't speak for Ben, but I got to say that I feel pretty grateful to be in the comedy community that we're in, because I think that's given me a lot of hope, because everybody's speaking up.
It's got to be good therapy too.
It is, man. It's just, that is a thing I'm definitely missing. I don't know about you, Ben, but just that outlet of being able to be on stage and like be around, like that community aspect of comedy, to be around people.
I've thought about that a lot, how comedy, I think, helped my perspective on a lot of these different topics as well. And I would echo exactly what you just said.
Yeah, I don't know if you had a chance to follow Robert Jenkins yet, but I can't.
Dude, that dude's a fire.
I can't recommend him higher.
Yeah,
just about he's one of my, he's one of the guys that I kind of look to on this particular issue. He's a black guy, but a comic, also a lawyer, and one of the smartest, funniest dudes we've ever had perform up here.
He averages a Facebook ban at least twice a week.
He's about to get banned again.
Yeah. And I just saw it.
But he is right on point, and he's got some of the best takes, I think, on it. And also, like, there's
it's like
guys
Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah.
I'm not equating him to Colin Kaepernick necessarily, but Robert is very focused on race, as well he should be. And a lot of his posts, when shit like this happens, it's like the Colin Kaepernick thing, where this is what the fuck we're talking about.
Ben and I talk all the time. Like, one of the things that I always ask myself when it comes to stuff like this, I'm like, I just don't want Robert to be mad at me.
Yeah, Robert mad at me.
Like, I don't want to say anything that makes Robert mad at me. But no, he's great, and I know other guys like Sean King. I just started following him on Instagram, and Cornel West. There's a lot of great voices out there. But yeah, like you said, man, I've just been trying to not necessarily step aside, but use whatever kind of platform we've got to kind of elevate voices. And it's tough because we've been doing that news show. And we talk about the news every week, and we kind of were really pulling our hair out this week. How the fuck do we talk about this? It's like, how do we, as, again, 5 white people or whatever, and we had Charlie Settles on this week, who's actually in Minneapolis. Yeah. He lives in Minneapolis now.
He's like 2 white people.
He's like 2
He really is.
And he came up with something that was just the best way to talk about what's going on without talking about what's going on, which is, there's got to be an outlet. Ben and I talk about this all the time. there has to be silliness still too. Like there's got to be an escape from all this stuff too. It can't just be. I mean, everybody's talking about, and rightly so. This is the topic that's on everybody's mind. But there's got to be a place you can go to kind of laugh at the world too, and that's what we're trying to do is offer some of that up with the comedy. Like, and there's no outlet on stage to do it anymore.
Yeah.
So the podcast and kind of trying to get out there and make people laugh is so important.
Well, we'd like to get you guys on the podcast again at some point.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I want to do way more of these. Like I'm upgrading, so I need to use the shit out of it.
Yeah.
Ben,
If we, I'd like to get down. I'll try to get down next time. Actually, be there. Be fun.
Nice.
yeah, I know you're busy.
We miss your smell of mahogany and lace.
Mahogany and lace.
I don't know. What do you guys want to get out before we go? I mean, we could keep going. We could.
It's a weird time, man. I'm glad coronavirus is over, right?
Kinda. I was really hoping for something substantially worse. All right. I don't want just to be inconvenienced.
Yeah, if I'm going to be inconvenienced, I want a lot of people to die.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. It's like everywhere you look, we've had flooding in Traverse City and
Midland. Dude, we came up with like a timeline the other day on the show.
One of the best.
It was like 2020 timeline.
Dude.
It's fucking fires and pandemics and.
I mean, has anybody?
Kobe?
Has anybody checked in on Charlie Sheen? Like, what's happening? Like, shit is crazy.
And then, you see the lightning struck the Washington Monument and all. Like,
Did it really?
No.
Really?
Are you serious?
yeah, I saw an article on that last week.
I saw
look
it
it
on
up.
Facebook.
No, it is crazy though.
I have to look it up.
I got my
that's
absentee
yeah, me too.
ballot
Yeah, the mail-in ballot?
application, and I'm probably not going to vote, but I am willing to sell that vote to the highest bidder.
Nice. That's good.
At least you
gonna-
put it right out there.
That's a headline. That's a tweet right there. I'm going to tweet that right now.
Do you guys actually think we'll get investigated for that? I was like voter fraud.
No, I don't.
That's not voter fraud. Motherfucker's been buying votes for millennia.
No, I mean that's true.
I think I'm gonna vote in Florida this year myself.
You can do that.
I'm going to vote for America's Got Talent, and that's probably it.
Yeah.
What do you, as somebody, you're a veteran, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to get too controversial, but what are your thoughts on this? On the idea of using the military against American citizens?
I can't tell you how fucking pissed off that
It's
makes
right?
me. I can't
It's-
tell you how pissed off that makes me.
It's stuff like, and my dad's a Vietnam veteran, and like he's pretty outspoken. He's part of a lot of veterans groups, and he's got his politics, and that's fine. And he does tend to lead a little bit more toward the social side of things and progressive side.
I'm going
of
to use
things.
my dad as an example.
Yeah.
My dad's a Vietnam vet.
Okay.
And for, I would say, the majority of our lives.
Thank you for your service,
Yeah.
Mr. Smith.
Yeah, he, I would say the majority of our lives, he had demonstrated to us that he was very conservative, very military supporting. You don't ever
Sure.
question the president. It's kind of like that Johnny Cash, Richard Nixon documentary we watched. You don't fucking question the president. You just, you be a good American. That was kind of the line that I gathered, okay? Even though he still taught us right from wrong. I don't think he cares that I say this, he fucking hates Trump so much
And my dad does too.
that it blows my fucking mind.
He has a flagpole,
Yeah.
and that flagpole has a flag that is upside down and at half mast
Stress.
right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, he really feels like, and I like as a vet, people talk about Civil War, and that's something that something like that is
Yeah.
very potentially in the horizon.
A lot closer now than it's ever been in my
Right,
life.
but it's not like it's not an enemy. It's not a geographical enemy.
yeah.
There's people across the street are Trump supporters.
Yeah.
We are not. So let's
Yeah.
just say there's a fuck. I mean, how does this work? I don't know how this works. How does any of this work?
My dad,
Well,
when
if they follow their general, they'll be in their basement.
that's right. Yeah, they'll put a wall up around their house.
You still there, Ben?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah, my dad when Trump came out and said all that stuff about McCain, about how wasn't a war hero. My dad lost his shit.
Yeah.
That's the most angry I've heard him in a long time. And
I can't imagine the fact that you would put.
This is a pretty conservative guy. I mean, we're talking
yeah.
about, veteran, like similar thing. Like, he's always been, and he would always pretty much keep his mouth shut about politics.
How the military just basically countered Trump. Mattis just told him to go fuck himself.
That gave me a lot of hope. Actually.
I've seen Marines that were Trump supporters that were like, you know what, Mattis is not full of shit.
Yeah,
he's a legit
this is a
dude.
real guy with integrity, with a career's
The
worth of
Marines
integrity.
just pulled down the Confederate flag from all the bases, and that's something they probably should have done earlier.
Pretty serious stuff,
dude. There's shit happening.
Progress is happening, which is good, and it gets loud and ugly sometimes. That's why it gets really frustrating when you. And I just watched what's her name, Kayleigh McEnany today, and you hear them like they're going after this Antifa angle and trying to really characterize all of them as one collective group, which is it's crazy.
Oh, really? Because I believe the same shit. And I've never once been approached by some organization.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm against fascism. Does that make me anti-fascist?
Right. We just have D-Day? I think that was full of anti-fascists.
There's a lot of good... my grandpa was an anti-fascist. He fought on Normandy Beach. So, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy stuff.
It feels like... sorry, I was just going to say it feels like... in people I've talked to, they may have voted for Trump the last time, that there's some reasonable people that thought, what the hell, what's the worst could happen last time, and now they're like, oh, okay, well, fuck us, this is way worse than what we thought it was going to be. This guy's a fucking idiot. Let's get him out of there. You know what I mean? So I think people are like, well, no.
I've tried to talk to a couple of people about this, and that are critical of the riots and the protests that had been going on now. And I said, people that voted for Trump, that was a riot. That was a convulsion.
It was a fucking
of
vote.
people that rightly or wrongly
thought
that they weren't being heard.
Yeah.
And it was a different kind of riot, but it's one that ultimately led to what's going on now, which is total unrest.
That was another take by Robert Jenkins. That basically that vote was because they wanted to see how mad Democrats could get. It was we're not getting what we want, and that's legitimate stuff. I mean, there's a lot of social problems. There's a lot of socioeconomic differences in our country, but this isn't the guy to fix it. I don't think. I don't know.
You're not a guy to fix anything.
I'm not saying there aren't problems, and he's not the source of all the problems. But I think it's becoming pretty painfully clear that he's not the guy to fix it. And I love Joe Biden as a human being. He's a mess too, but I also think he's going to actually put a team together of people.
And he might actually listen to his advisors.
They're at least engaged in the act of diplomacy.
Read a fucking report in the morning.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. He might say, "Hey, what should I do here?"
Do your fucking job. Maybe do that.
Well, that's what it comes down to, and it's so polarizing.
The guy. Yep. I was just gonna say the guy. I know people that he lost them at the Corona thing because he's shown. I don't know how you can not objectively look at the last 6 months and come up with an answer other than this guy is a terrible fucking leader.
And that's what it comes down to.
What your policies are, this guy doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. He's over his head.
It's not a Democrat and Republican thing, because I've never identified. I've always considered myself independent. I lean socially a lot more toward the left, but there's a lot of things that I'm, we don't mention my dad. It's a little more complex than just saying that I'm a Democrat. This is just a can you do the fucking job thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't hire a fucking plumber that all he did was talk about how, fucking deep state or whatever. I just want a guy to fix my fucking
talk
pipes.
About like a 90-day probation, like how you get hired in at like somewhere, you get hired in at the factory. You got 90 days to prove you're not a total fuck up, and then you got it. So maybe
you can do it.
Yeah, you get full benefits now. You get everything.
You got tenure.
You earned your 401k.
It's frightening the level of. He's up there telling people to do shots of bleach and shit. Like, what are we? It's crazy, man.
That was the tipping point for me when he walked down the street with that Bible to stand in front of that church. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like I didn't like it before,
Yeah.
but this is just like the tipping point into
Tear
fuck
gas and
you land,
protesters.
man.
Yeah.
I'd like to add just one. I'd like to say I will never understand. I'll never be able to understand how someone can say they support or believe that book and support him at the same time. I can't imagine the fucking mental hurdles you had to go through to get to that point. I can't understand it for the life of me. I don't.
And look,
I don't know. I can't.
I can rationalize a lot of shit. I'm real good at rationalizing shit.
Well, I mean, we were talking about, how many racist white people we know earlier.
Yeah.
And it's like, I know a lot of people, or when I say a lot, that's not true.
Yeah.
I know some people that are Trump voters, and they're not racist. They are fully in support of Black Lives Matters. They are fully LBGT supportive.
Yep.
They just fucking hated Hillary Clinton, and which I get. Voting for Hillary Clinton was a huge conscious thing. Like I voted and then I fucking hated myself for it. So there's those Trump voters, but I also know personally that there is a lot of racist fucking Trump voters. There just is.
Yeah, no doubt.
Where they are happy. They are upset and feel threatened that their world is
100%.
changing. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's like, this has definitely changed the way I approach social media. Like, I'm unfollowing fucking people by the dozens.
Oh, dude, like four today. Like four
oh,
today.
dude, I'm just not fucking around anymore. It's like, that's part of the other thing, too. It's like, I just can't, like, I'm done telling people, man. I feel like it's just, you can't change anybody's mind.
No.
And it's just, I'm not, that's
you
not
got to
the
change
end.
their kids' minds.
That's it.
You got to change their kids' minds.
You can change people's minds, but you have to be very
Not on social
selective.
media.
They can't be old.
Yeah, it's just not gonna happen.
You're wasting your breath if you try to change an old person's mind as racist.
I had a friend that would say racist shit. And it was one of those where, and I think as a white person, you kind of just get, I don't want to say used to it, but you just get the blinders on a little bit. When somebody says racist shit, you just like, whatever, and you just go on with your day because you're like, fucking, you don't want to get into it or whatever.
Yep. You don't have to. Right?
There was a couple times like he would say racist shit, and I would try to talk to him and say, no, it's not really the way it is.
Yeah.
And then he started on about the because I thought that guy was still a reasonable person, and I thought that he was mildly racist. Like a lot of white people, okay?
Just had that racism light, like everybody up in the
But then he started on, he's like, oh, colleges should be segregated. Oh, and he fucking disowned his daughter for dating a black guy. And I'm like, all right, peace out, buddy.
Wow.
Peace out, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm out.
That's some of that classic racism. That's some of that down south vintage.
And overall,
barrel-aged racism.
overall, as far as everything we're talking about, that is the best kind.
Yeah.
Because it's right at the forefront.
Yeah.
And everybody and the vast majority of reasonable people understand that that's wrong.
That's such an important point too. Is it's so weird that like that's the thing up here is people assume that there's not like that Traverse City isn't racist, but it's so like people know. Bill Burr had a great bit about how racists learn the language that you need to speak in order to hop across the logs.
Yeah.
Like it's so baked into the cake up here, and it's so hidden. Like those racist cops. Like there's a bunch of racist cops. You know that they exist, but
there's a good old boy network, man.
100%. You can't. How do you smoke that out? That's the hardest thing because they know to keep it quiet. You know what I mean?
Well, now they're is it Minneapolis that is disbanding the police?
Defunding
the police.
And as far as that's concerned, that's kind of a slippery slope.
I'm a little worried about that.
I'm
worried about the messaging.
What they have to do. What they have to do is it would have to be a two-pronged approach. They would have to make it easier for cops to go against their fellow police officers. Yeah. But that's probably the big problem.
Yeah.
And
huge problem.
From a
And
union standpoint.
right, and
The
then
union's too powerful.
Yeah.
well, I mean, not even just union. I mean, it's just interdepartmental politics.
They also,
And-
hey man,
and-
maybe don't let officers have fucking tanks.
Right. That's the other. That's the other one.
Maybe I'll
That's
put that. Can we
that's
start there?
That's the defunding that I would get behind.
I'd
I would
behind that.
wholly get behind
what
when they cannot give the police departments budgets to buy armored personnel
Cavalry
carriers,
vehicles.
Right, and stuff like that,
Yeah, it's insane.
and
they're-
drones and
Yeah.
shit.
Go ahead, Ben.
My mailman uses their own car.
exactly,
Yeah.
dude.
No,
You got to buy sporting equipment for your high school sports, but the fucking yahoos can drive a tank to the parade.
Well, that's it. That's that blurry line. It seems like between being a police officer and being a soldier, they're not the same thing. It's
do
a
you even
different
think
thing.
there is any? When I try to tell people, and I only was in for 3 years in the military.
Well, that's like 3 more years than I was.
The
was
police are increasingly
jerking off in my
militarized. Police are increasingly militarized.
Oh, yeah.
They have a fraction of the training. Like they not
Right.
you know. When I say you're highly trained in the military, when you're not actually at war every single day, you're learning how to be at war
Yeah.
and to diffuse situations and all of this shit.
Yeah.
And I don't know, and I know they have to go through great training, or I don't want to say great training, but they have to go through training in the police department.
I don't want to talk shit about
If,
guns.
if
I don't
It's
either.
not, it's not soldier training.
if they
No.
if they
It's not military.
if they use the budget that they set aside for militarization and use that for training.
Community policing.
Training
Yeah.
in classrooms and getting to know your
Right.
community. They're gonna. Well, the whole point of that, the Minneapolis thing, was that they are going to use whatever model that Camden, New Jersey, was using. It was a very community
Focused, community policing. And
Yeah.
We have a guy in town that does that. His name's Jordan Weaver. He's good. He's a good dude. But it's.
I think
The problem is that I remember my dad when I was young. He said you can trust some people to have the button to the nuclear code, but some people you wouldn't hand a fork to.
Yeah.
And
Right.
that's the problem, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a human problem, and it's so fucking complicated. But everything is everything gets so binary now. It's either this or that. You're either that or this. There are a lot of people that I really respect that are police officers, man, and it's unfortunate. I do think this is a time for police officers to step up. I really like what the guy in Genesee County did.
Dude, there's so many police officers and
That's
police
what we
departments that are stepping up.
That's what we need. People to step up and really kind of dissociate from these motherfuckers that can't handle it. They just can't handle the power over other human beings, and that exists everywhere. That exists in comedy. That exists with comedy.
Well, it's just like,
They
how many
can't
people do you
handle
know
it.
that you went to school? Ben, did you have a point real quick? You were talking.
I was going to say, do you mean ever or like right now?
like now, right now.
No, I was. Every one of us knows has somebody we went to school with, we worked at another job for. They're a cop, and you're like, how is that fucking guy a cop?
That's like the definition of white privilege. Is as bad as it gets for white people, they can just kind of, I guess, and be a cop. He's like, yes, I can just be a cop now.
I think I did. Yeah, I did. I guess I did want to add something. I remember. I think I just wanted to add to the defunding. Like, I think Minneapolis seemed to have quite a history of trouble as far as their particular system. I saw the mayor of Atlanta. Am I yelling?
No, it's
Not
good.
loud enough.
No.
I'm into it.
What?
I watched the mayor of Atlanta today in an interview, and she said, that wouldn't work for us. So I think I think you're going to see that orange idiot use it as a scare tactic. That it's
He is.
that whole thing. They're coming to take your guns. They're coming to take your It's just a bunch of bullshit. Minneapolis, I think, is restructuring their system because it's broken.
You're right, though. They're already taking that messaging and running with it as a political point for the election. And if this were a game of checkers, and you look at moves that would lead to a civil war, we're like maybe 2 moves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This shit is not in the
We need a
abstract.
block.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
It's a good thing November's only a few. I mean, I don't even know if that's going to help.
This shit is not abstract, man. It's really happening out there, and it's fucking scary in a lot of ways. It can really get out of hand because he's not capable of doing the job. And I'm not a big conspiracy theory guy, but if you're looking at this from the point of like a rival nation's political leaders, this is why you want a guy like that in power, right?
And
because he's going to create divide and make us weaker.
But at this point, I'm not. I mean, Trump is the symptom.
100%.
He's not the disease. Yep. He's the symptom. And at this point, I'm not sure which would be worse for our country.
Yeah.
If he got reelected or if Joe Biden got elected. I'm not sure which would be worse. I know who would. I'm pretty sure who would be better at leading the country.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure which would be worse
from like a backlash standpoint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think Trump's exposed the I don't want to say impotency of the position, but like he's kind of, you worry about, like, you're talking about policies and shit, and really he hasn't done anything other than come out and take credit for stuff he had nothing to do with. But
right.
I think what you're seeing with him is a matter of leadership.
He made Space Force. How dare you? You hold your tongue.
Mm.
He created Space Force.
Yeah, right. It's been how long since this all broke open, and he's said nothing.
Yeah.
Literally, I mean, essentially nothing to try to bring the country to. I mean, we are a rudderless ship. So I can't.
George Floyd would be happy with the economy.
Oh my God.
George Floyd, I'm just like, oh God, what are you doing?
Always says the worst thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see. I mean, that's what it comes down to for me. It's like Joe Biden is not. That's not who I voted for in the primary.
Right.
But it's that. I mean, fuck. You want to sail the Rio Grande, or you go down the fucking whatever, go down the Nile in a tube, or do you want to fuck? Like.
Yeah. Any port in the storm at this point. Yeah.
Yeah. At this point, you want to drive across the country in a Studebaker, or do you want to fly? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, well, I'm basically, it comes down to the fact that I'm a one-issue voter. I don't vote for fucking megalomaniacal idiots. That's my that's my megalomaniacs.
It's a good life motto.
Yeah,
life
fuck.
motto.
I don't know, man. It's crazy. It's hard to, like, see all the, it's going to be really fascinating for people, like, 10 years from now to study this in school and look at all the ways we fucked up, how we got here,
Yeah, I think about it every once in a while. This is, where are we going to be in 20 years? What are we going to look like in 20 years? Because this is a real critical moment. It's a real critical moment right now.
But it's also, I mean, in my most optimistic moments, I think it is pulling a lot of stuff. I mean, you see this, like, global, like you were saying, it's global protests. People are, speaking out globally. Same thing that happened with the Women's March right after he got elected. There was a Women's March, and that was global. So I think there's some real latent, like, under the surface rage that is going to hopefully come out in the fucking ballot box, and hopefully make some change. I don't know.
I just would add something positive, I guess, in that with the protests up here, it's like it's mostly all young white kids,
That's
essentially,
cool, yeah.
And I think there's a real good case to be made that social media will be the demise of civilization. But I also think that what you're seeing now is kids that have grown up on social media who, when they go to school events or sporting events or whatever, they meet people and now they're friends with them. When we were in school, you met them, but if with my old man, if the area code was different, you never talked to that person again. You know what I mean? Like, just phone calls weren't to be fucked around with. So,
it is true.
You never saw those people again, but now you can make friends with a wider array of people from a more diverse background, even if it's just within the state.
Yeah.
You're still meeting people that have different lives, that have different realities and different experiences. And I think you're seeing that kind of broader viewpoint start to come through. I hope so. Anyway, I hope that's part of it.
I can only speak for myself, but maybe, I know you and I have had a lot of conversations about this. I feel like just doing comedy in the last 5 years or so some of the folks we've met, similar thing, just being able to communicate with all those people with different perspectives, like Robert Jenkins, Megan Coddington Heath, people that have different real perspectives that are different than my experience. And it comes out in their comedy and in their art, which is a really powerful tool right now, is people that are using art right now to really communicate a lot of this stuff.
Well, it's like we were talking before you joined, Ben, and we were just talking about, what music we're listening to right now. And I don't know about Levi. What are you listening to right now? Because I've gone all the way back to Bob Dylan right now. Rage.
Yeah, I just created a
lot of Pussifer I'm hearing.
Yeah, depends on the mood.
Yeah.
I've got an extensive classical music playlist.
Yeah. I created a playlist on what do you call it? That Spotify thing. That's a lot of old Dylan songs, and like a lot of old kind of protest, a lot of Rage, a lot of Run the Jewels, a lot of Idols. I need to hear people. That's the thing about art that I love, like comedy in particular, because that's what I'm really. A lot of old Richard Pryor bits. Talking about, we went down there to the courthouse for justice, and that's what we found, just us.
Just us.
Shit like that. It's like, I need to hear, it's validating. That's what I love about comedy, is it's validating to hear somebody share the same weaknesses and flaws and fears and shit through art. That's why I fucking love it. And that's what I miss about it most, I think, is, being able to recognize that. And music is a big one too, but it's the great equalizer. You can hear other people share their fears and stuff through that, which is important. Art's really, this is the time, this is when all the best fucking art happens, dude.
Oh, no, this is the best time. Shit like this, I can't wait for the music that's coming out.
This is when the good shit happens.
Yeah.
And, back in the...
Movies will get better. Maybe they'll make better comedies after this.
No kidding, man. Dude, I'm ready.
Yeah, hey, Ben, Yacht Rock is going away. Sorry.
Not at the Macks house.
Hang up those boat shoes, buddy.
Hey, guys. Hey, I just want to say I appreciate you coming on.
Well, it's always a pleasure, man. Thanks for having us. I really appreciate the platform for us to do this.
Yeah, I loved it. I want to do more.
We'll have to call
this
like 4 white guys solve racism. I think that's
4 white guys.
I think we did it.
Look right there.
So
you had Martin Luther King and Selma, and then you had this podcast.
Don't say it. Ben, you got anything before you get out? I know. Are you guys doing Broken News again soon?
Yeah, Kamikaze Comedy. Check that out. We've been doing those Broken News weekly. They come out on Sundays. Thad Ranger. Keep an eye out for Thad Ranger. Right? We still got some Thad Ranger kicking around.
Yeah.
Why'd you ask Ben?
What's that?
Why'd you ask Ben about
Thad Ranger? Well, he knows him. I think he's met him. They're from a similar background.
Okay.
I share a lot of the same views. We are. You can check me out on. You can check me out on. Follow Ben Macks at Ben Macks.
These I have. Like 200 of these fucking things.
Dude, put me down for one. Put me down for a 2X.
You don't want them now. I've worn every single one of them. I just started doing laundry again.
Oh, I want them.
That's great.
Make sure it has sweat.
I'll only wear one if you wore it.
Love it.
That's all I have left.
Long live Thad. He's the pulse of a nation.
You guys, it was a great conversation.
That's terrifying.
Great conversation, guys.
Thanks for having us, man.
Man.
Ben, you can stick around after we hang up here, after we stop recording.
Check out Idols.
Don't end the call then.
Oh, no.
You dumb bastard. Jesus Christ. I said it before you did it.
I know.